with Miami Dolphins offense. We've kind of talked about some of the problems they've had in the offensive line. I think that's the focal point right now for me. That's the way I think you take advantage of them. But I'll talk about the other spots as well. You're going to see multiple formations. You're going to see formations from this group that you never thought you would see in a football game. You think you're probably watching 1928 football with some of the alignment that they do with their backs and their tight end and their fullback and their, they get in some really unique formations in order to run the football. And they like to take advantage of you with their movement, their motion. I mentioned the pin and pull stuff. That's something that seems to give the Cowboys a little problems. But they pin and pull because right now they just don't have the ability to go toe-to-toe with you and knock you off the ball like a lot of offensive lines do. They're terrified of that, so they're going to have to create ways to get guys in position where they can angle block, down block, get on the edge, half-man block. When I talk about half-man block, not take a guy completely down the middle, just brush block them. Just because the ball gets outside, you got quickness in these backs, just brush block somebody, and then boom, the ball's around the corner on you right there. It does have a 49ers vibe to it with how they use all their personnel. And when I mean use all their personnel, they use all their personnel. There's guys on this team that have roles, like you talked about, the fullbacks, the tight ends, the receivers, the line, extra guys on extra offensive line. They have all kinds. If you dress for the Dolphins offensively, they are going to find a way to use you in the game plan. So you're going to see a ton of what we call pistol. If you're a fan of college football, you'll understand pistol. Yeah, pistol too. But that's going to be where the fullback, or the halfback or running back is going to be lined up directly behind the quarterback. That's a pistol formation right there. Ton of movement from it. Ton of movement from the tight ends. They try and create blocking angles for their offensive linemen. We talked about that. Pull, trap. They'll use receivers on the edge to help in the running game. In the previous game, like I said, I feel like they worried about the Jets' pass rush a lot. Ball was out of Tua's hands, the quickest it's been all season. Study those metrics. I'm not just making that up. That's the truth. They use screens and they use quick games to combat pass rush. So if they feel like that you're going to come after them, you got to get ready for the screens. You got to get ready for the tight end screens, the running back screens. They've got backs that can catch the football.
Yeah,
that is big for their offense. They had a big shot in this game against the Jets. Went to Waddle. Was a touchdown down the left side that was off play action. So they're going to try and show you a little run and then throw the ball deep off that. The receivers' alignments when you're watching the Cowboys and how they're going to line up against you, you're going to get what we call 3-by-1. That's a bunch to one side, one wide receiver to the other. You're going to get 2-by-2, 2 and 2, exactly what it is. And you're going to get 3-by-2. And that's out of their empty formation. So what they want to do is they want to try and spread you out and take advantage of it. They mainly like to put 2 to 3 receivers on one side of the field and operate from that. Their most productive group is 3-by-1.
Okay.
It's their most productive group. And that's usually when Tyreek Hill is in that part of the 3. He's one of the 3 that's in there. They've had 5 touchdowns off their 3-by-1 formational look. That's their most productive. Their quarterback is playing at a high level right now. Tua, I think, is playing at a very high level. He's been healthy throughout the season. I think that's been a big, big help for him, and they've benefited from his health. He is one of these guys that's got complete command of what's required of him. He really doesn't try and do too much. I think his best trait is his accuracy. I think that he could pick you apart with his accuracy in this way when they have to throw the football. He throws a really catchable ball. And, he can hit targets on the move. 54% of their offense is based off run after catch, rack. So, those yards that they get, man, it is impressive what they're able to and how they're able to get the ball to the receivers and let them go on the move.
So is it more downfield or is it like screen,
underneath,
short underneath? Okay, so tackling a premium.
Where he is at his absolute best. Where he's at his absolute best is at the line of scrimmage or just a little bit beyond the line of scrimmage. That's where he's absolute best at throwing the ball. There are some issues in that 10 plus to 20 plus range of him throwing the football. That's been a little bit of a weakness. He hasn't completed the passes in that area like he does underneath and then at the line of scrimmage. So if you if you get guys around him, you can get him to the ground. He's not going to run away from you. Need to keep an eye on this too, by the way. 6 of his interceptions this season have been outside the left hash.
Oh, okay.
So left hash. He's a left-handed quarterback. 6 interceptions left hash. That's going to be going at Bland in this game. Or if in fact they travel, but it's to his left that he's thrown the most interceptions to. So talk about the running backs here real quick with Mostert and then A-Chain. And the way that they play. There's the 2 hard-nosed guys. They're tough running guys. A-Chain is a guy that, to me, when you look at him, he's a track guy, and it's nothing stereotypical about him being a track guy. He is as tough a runner as it comes. He's explosive. He hasn't been healthy. That's the problem right now. We'll see how healthy he really is in this football game. But they really do lean on their backs to try and make plays for him. In these games.
And they've been A-Chan's been a chunk player for him. Over 7 yards a carry.
No question.
Speed. But you're right. He can go in between the tackles.
Yeah. He can run. He's got some toughness to him. All right. We mentioned the offensive line. And I think the Dolphins coaching staff is doing the very best they can to mask the issues they're currently having right now. There are a lot of moving parts with this group. A lot. And Zach told you practice report. Mm-hmm. Their offensive line didn't even practice, basically. They've lost Connor Williams for the season. Robert Hunt, their guard, is dealing with a hamstring. Austin Jackson, the tackle, has an oblique problem. Liam Eichenberg has filled in for Williams. He's dealing with a toe injury. Robert Jones has been in for Hunt, and Kendall Lamb has been in for Jackson. It's clear that the coaching staff is really concerned with all the injuries and with the guys that they had to play. You watch on tape, you can tell by the way he's calling plays. So they get the ball out to his hands in a hurry. They have to be scared of Dallas in what they can do as a pass rush. So when they tried to attack the Jets straight ahead, it just didn't work as well as when they went wide with their angle blocks and stuff. So they probably feel the same way. They saw what Buffalo was able to do with the perimeter game. I have a feeling you're going to see the same thing. You have to be good on the edge. Linebackers have to play downhill. You got to fill when you have the opportunity. You can't have soft corners when you're playing these guys that way. So this is the way that Dallas likes to twist their front in passing situations. This will present a problem for the players they're currently playing with right now. Tua isn't all that mobile, and getting bodies around him will cause issues. So the Dallas Cowboys, if they can rush the passer and they can get their twist game going, it's a hard. This Miami Dolphin offensive line, the way it's currently configured, has a hard time picking up those twist stunts right there.
We don't know about Tyreek Hill yet. I was wondering while you were watching their offense and all the speed they have, because we've talked, as good as Gilly's been, Stephon Gilmore, he can't run like he used to.
No.
Could the speed be a problem against some of these receivers?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is one of the most dynamic weapons in the NFL. We all understand that. He does put fear in the hearts of defensive backs across the league because how he eats up your cushion. He's explosive. He's got speed. He could destroy you the way he plays. I'm curious with his ankle injury, though, how much speed is he going to be having in these games? I mean, it's hard keeping up with him on the move. He's an elite player with the ball in his hands. He'll line up inside, outside. The majority of his yards come on the right side. So that would be over on, if you just play it straight up, that's the Gilmore side. He's amassed 672 yards playing on the right side. He's split 50-50 playing in slot. But the majority of his snaps where he's productive is on the outside right, is where he's and they like to put him in the bunch formations to keep him from being doubled. So it's hard to double him because of his speed. He'll just run through things. Jalen Waddle is excellent on the move as well. This guy will stop his momentum and come back for the football. He'll attack the ball with his hands. He's not phased in traffic or defenders coming at him. He's that type of player, super competitive in those 50-50 situations. So you have to be ready for both those guys. Braxton Berrios and Cedric Wilson have been kind of both playing in the slot. They both have had okay production, nothing big like their wide receivers. So this is going to be a game where you have to get after their offensive line if, in fact, that they're going with 3 backups playing in it. Dolphins, you're going to get a base 3-4 front. We call it an odd front. 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. Vic Fangio is your guy. I've reached out to a couple of my guys around the league, coach dudes, see if they can help me with how to attack Vic Fangio. So maybe I'll get that locked in. I haven't heard back from those guys, but maybe have a little bit better idea on Friday. I can do that for my Krusty's Corner. But Vic Fangio is the defensive coordinator, former head coach of the Broncos. He shut down the Cowboys. If you remember the game in 2021, they beat the Cowboys. It was 30-16 in that game. Ran the ball incredibly well, played really good defense that day. Todd Archer asked Mike McCarthy about it. Do you factor in that game? Mike says, no, it's not part of the breakdown, but I'm sure you go back and look and see what's going on. As a unit, they have 48 sacks, 32 of those sacks coming without bringing a blitz.
Wow.
That's the second best in the NFL right now. That's just a four-man rush right there.
That's incredible.
39% of the snaps. That's second best of the league. Four-man pressure. So, man, if you're looking at metrics, you're looking at numbers, and the film shows that with these guys. They do a good job of getting after you that way. You're mainly going to get zone coverage in the secondary. They play what we call cloud coverage. And I'll explain cloud coverage to you. Now, Buffalo played cloud coverage, or they do play, and they play it 30% of the time. To give you an example, like last week, you faced a team. It's a look that teams play. Buffalo plays it 30% of the time, and Miami plays it 26% of the time. They're like Miami's 7th in the league in playing cloud. Buffalo's just slightly ahead of them. So if you start to talk about, give me some ideas here, what we're going to do with this coverage. And usually you'll recognize cloud coverage by defense by the depth of the corner, the way the corners play. And one corner plays up, one corner plays soft. So you kind of get that look. It's designed to mess with quarterbacks' pre-snap reads because it appears to look like cover two, with the two safeties in the middle of the field. It's designed also to take away the deep ball and the run is why teams play cloud coverage. But to attack it, the middle of the field, middle underneath, you got to go underneath the middle safety, and then the vertical seams are the areas to attack. And I want to ask my buddies around the league, my coach friends, like, okay, how do you, if a guy's playing a ton of cloud, because last week you saw what Buffalo did, and I guarantee you Vic Fangio sitting there looking at it and going, damn, if they can't handle that.
Right, agreed. And there was the one play that they had, it was the best throw Dak had all day, where he hit CeeDee Lamb, and there's that opening.
There's that opening.
And that's where you're going to get. That's where you'll find some openings in that zone with CeeDee along the sideline between that safety and the corner, and Dak's able to hit it. But it was the only time they were able to hit it all game.
Yeah, so we need to figure that one out, though. But that's kind of where you're at. This defensive line, it's got two outstanding players that I feel like. And Christian Wilkins is the defensive tackle that you're going to have to deal with. And now hopefully you get Zach Martin back, because you don't want to go into the game with Bass is a capable backup. But to go against Wilkins, having Smith and having Martin that's the recipe for the best that you're going to get out of that. He's especially good when he has to deal with blockers one-on-one. He's going to play over both guards. He can rush on the edge on some special packages. Last week against the Jets, it's like the Dolphins had no respect for Zach Wilson at quarterback. They moved their guys around. They're like, you can't block our front. You can't. So they moved Wilkins to where he played some edge, and then they put a bigger guy inside, and they pushed the middle of the pocket on Zach is what they did. But Wilkins is not super flashy, but he's super consistent the way he plays. More of a straight ahead, player than when it has a lot of movement to him. But he'll cause his share of problems with the length and the power that he plays with. He's a penetrator in those games. They use him, and he's a guy that can cause some problems in there. And then you get the loopers and stuff around him. Bradley Chubb is listed as a linebacker, okay, and you got to think of him more as an edge. And he will play both sides of the defense, but he'll be lined up over Tyron Smith or whoever plays left tackle for you in this football game. Pray to the football gods that Tyron Smith is playing left tackle in this game with Bradley Chubb as a rusher. He's got very good athletic ability. He's got speed. He's got length. He's got bulk for the position. He's very similar to what you see with when you get with Tank, and how he's able to rush the passer, but also play the run.
All-around edge.
Hard guy to run at. He's super active. He's got the ability to break blockers down. He creates pressure. You got to account for him. You definitely got to account for him. On the other side, Andrew Van Ginkel. Real name, Van Ginkel.
Yeah.
Andrew Van
Ginkel. Used to be
Ginkel.
a special team star. Now he's a good starter for him.
Now he's a starter for him. He's going to play opposite. He's like a traditional 3-4 outside linebacker. He's a high motor, athletic ability guy. He's got some range to defend the run, but they use him in pass coverage as well. The lateral quickness, change of direction, quick with the hands. He's that kind of guy. Linebacker David Long. Now, here's something this is the second week with you had to face an undersized linebacker. He doesn't have great height nor the bulk, but he's super, super aggressive the way he plays. He attacks the ball right off the snap. He's quick. He's got stop-start movements are really good. He's explosive. Now, where you have to maybe take advantage of him is with the play-action game. If Dallas can find a way to kind of even some just showing it, you're going to get these linebackers to step up. And then now we're talking about the ball going in behind them on some of these routes, the crossing routes and things. But you could get these linebackers to move and get them to step up. And then that way, ball behind them. There's your possibilities for some plays. In the secondary with this, with the Dolphins, it's a lot like their offensive line. In this way, they've lost a lot of key pieces right now, and who knows who's going to play in this game. Xavier Howard, Deshaun Elliott's in protocol, and then Javon Holland, the safety, have all missed time at some point this season. We'll see how many of those guys make it back for the game against the Cowboys. Against the Jets last week, they lined up with Jalen Ramsey, Eli Apple, and Kadar Kaho. Is that how you say his name? It's Kaho. And so that was their starters in the game. And in that game, Ramsey traveled with Garrett Wilson the majority of the game. And he even went with him in the slot.
Okay, so he truly was traveling.
So he truly was traveling with this guy. So you watch him play. Now, this wasn't a stressful game at all because the Jets' passing attack really sucked. Now, when you watch the Eagles, that's a totally different thing. I studied that game. Ramsey wasn't in. But Kaho and others were involved, and they had their share of issues in that football game. As the season has gone along, Kaho, he's played more snaps than anybody, but more completions and more touchdowns against him than any other cornerbacks they have.
Which would make sense. I mean, he definitely is probably the weak link of the group, and I think the rookie Cam Smith, who we liked a lot, is out for the year, which is unfortunate. Xavier Howard did practice today.
So
he's trending positive to play.
He's trending to play. If that's the case, then that is a big, big help for them right now. I would be really careful, and I'm not totally avoiding the guy. I'd be careful of trying to go out Ramsey here.
Okay.
And I feel like this because when you watch from him coming back, I feel like he's been outstanding. He's given up no touchdowns. The opponent's completion percentage of the game is right at 48%. So it's 50-50 basically about getting either he's going to knock it down or or incomplete, or you're going to get a completion on him.
So if that's the case and CeeDee Lamb gets kind of eliminated, we probably are looking at Jake Ferguson being your top priority.
Ferguson, Cooks, others, Tolbert, Gallup. Somebody has got to step up. I'm not saying I just would be careful throwing the ball at Ramsey. I would just be careful in that. I'm not saying completely, but I would just be careful in that regard because he is back and he is playing it again at a high level.
He's got elite ball skills. We've seen that throughout his whole career.
And he loves that challenge. He loves the challenge about taking your best guy.